So this was one of the biggest pieces of steel that me and my team have ever lifted into place in 30 years in construction. We had no crane, there was no second chance, and if this went wrong, somebody could have been seriously hurt. A lot of people think this is about brute strength and manpower. It isn't. This was about planning, calculations, understanding what could go wrong, because what you are about to see here actually proves that experience matters, or it could show exactly how a bad decision turns into a disaster. So the important thing here to remember is this lift didn't start on site that morning. It started the day before with the meticulous planning involved. We had to work out the weight of the steel. We had to work out the weight of the lifting equipment and whether it was actually manageable to lift that steel with the equipment that we had. I was on the phone to my fabricator to make sure that he was ready to be on site that morning, to make sure that he could weld it to the stanchions, because the worst thing that could have happened was the steel fell. We had to work out time constraints, because one of the worst things that could also happen was leaving it hanging overnight, not fully secure. And before all of you shout up, why didn't you use a crane? We actually looked at that. It was the first thing that we did. But there was no access, and the council wouldn't allow us to shut the road till you get that crane in there in the first place. So it wasn't just about choosing the hard way, or even the cheapest way, because it definitely wasn't that with the amount of manpower. It was about getting that steel into place so the build could carry on, but doing it safely. Basically, the only option that we had was to plan it meticulously and move it by hand. So one of the first things we did was made sure the lifting equipment was there that morning, and you can see we had them split into 3 with the sectional detail on splicing. The lads rolled them in on casters. There was no actual manual lifting. Then our engineer fabricator actually started to drill the holes for the plates to actually fix it to the stanchions. So obviously this is going to take some time. The only slight lift that we did was lifting them onto those actual genie lifts. Bacon sandwich, of course, for all the lads, just to keep them happy. And we had to make sure that all the bolts were securely tight, properly, and torqued up to the correct torque settings. Massive piece of steel. There you go, you can see John there, fabricator, welding the plates onto the main stanchions. Meanwhile, it's been held up with acros. I saw the lads were sort of really doing nothing, so I got them to load out basically while they were waiting for John to weld. As you can see there, the first 2 sections are actually in place. John's still welding that plate on, being careful not to cause any fire. Obviously got hot works permit in place. There's the last piece gone in. John's leaning over there, shouldn't be doing really, but yeah, we're just tightening those bolts up, making sure they're tight so there's no deflection before we welds that last section. The main section of steel's now in, and we just need to get those little outriggers fixed so as we can build those internal walls off them. But there you go folks, all done. One hell of a lift. John's just putting that last bit of welding in place before we got off home. And there you go, the steel with the blockwork over the top of it. So in the end, it went exactly as it was planned. The steel went in, and by the end of the day, it was fully supported by the stanchions that were fixed earlier on set pads. The important thing to say here is, before we even attempted the lift, every single risk involved was assessed. We had a full risk assessment, we had a method statement. This guaranteed that the job would go exactly as we planned it. And basically, that nothing could go wrong, and more importantly, nobody got hurt. And like I said earlier, lifting with a crane would have been a lot better and ideal, but the option just wasn't there due to access, and then the council just not paying ball and allowing us to close the road. So with that option off the table, it wasn't just about ignoring the risks and just cracking on. It was about trying to identify them, mitigate them as much as possible, and lift it in the safest manner with the equipment that we had available to us. And that's what running a successful building company comes down to. It's not about avoiding the hard jobs or just doing them regardlessly. It's about identifying the risks, managing those risks, and doing things as safely as possible with the means you've got available. Obviously, if it's way too dangerous to do, regardless whether you manage those risks or not, then that job doesn't actually take place. But in this instance, we realised that we could actually split it into 3. So we asked the engineer for a splicing detail, which made the steel a lot more manageable. And then we realised that it could be lifted with the biggest genie lifts available to us, and basically quite a bit of labour and meticulous planning to make sure that everything came together on that one day. And that's it, guys. That is how you lift an enormous piece of steel into an extension. So if you want to watch more videos by me, guys, how about some that we actually build a complete extension in a series? Have a look at that link up there. And if you want to watch the last Builder's Diary, which is a week-to-week episode, have a look up there. And if you would be so kind as to subscribe, have a look over there. Cheers, guys. Like, subscribe, and everything else.